Let's go ahead and talk about some of these network configuration files and locations. Okay, so first one we got here is /etc/resolve.conf. Okay, and this is going to list DNS servers for internet domain name resolution. We also have etsy hosts, and this is going to list hosts to be resolved locally, not by DNS. We also have etsy/nss-switch.conf, and this will list order of host name search. Typically look at local files, then NS server, and then it's going to look at the DNS server. Okay, that's usually the order it's going to look at for those. On Red Hat and Fedora systems, such as CentOS, which is what we use, the etsy sysconfig network file specifies network configurations such as static IPs, DHCP, and others. Okay. We can also look at the etsy sysconfig network-scripts ifconfig-device, and this will specify TCP network information. And then finally, we have the etsy network interfaces, which specifies network configuration and devices. Again, static IP, info, and DHCP. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these. Let me get logged into my virtual box here. Sorry guys, one sec. There we go. Alright guys, so currently I'm logged in as root. Alright. So we're at our home directory here, right? /root. So first one we're going to take a look at is the etsy/resolve.conf. Okay. And we can see here we have some files listed here and some IP addresses. So remember, this is where DNS servers are listed. Okay, and we have our DNS servers listed here. All right, let's look at the next one, which was cat etsy hosts. Okay. So we have our loopback address here. We have some host names here, okay? We're going to look at the next one here, which is going to be etsy/nss or nsswitch.conf. And guys, anytime you see a file that ends in .conf extension, that's a configuration file, all right? That's where settings are going to be applied for different things. All right. So in this file, we have a list of host name searches. Okay, and remember, typically goes by local, then NIS, and then DNS. Okay. Let's scroll up a little bit here, see more of the file. All right. So here's the beginning of that file. Okay, let me see, we got a lot going on here, right? So a lot going on in this file. This isn't a file typically a sysadmin is going to use too much unless you're really diving into some networking stuff, okay? So let's get the next file here, which is the etsy. All right, let me clear my screen. So we're going to do cat etsy/sysconfig/network. Okay, not much in this one, right? This is where we would specify network configuration. Let's look at another file here. Etsy network-scripts. Now this is a file as a sysadmin. Oops, forgot one. Oops. That you'll be looking at more often than not. Okay, so out of all the networking files we're looking at, this is probably the one that you'll deal with the most. Actually, instead of doing cat, we're going to cd to this one. We're going to do an ls. And then we see we have my Ethernet, or my interface here. Okay, I'm actually doing wireless, so I don't have an Ethernet set up. But I have my interface there, and I can cat that file. We're going to see some info in there, okay? And we're going to go over later in these slides what all this talks about, okay, what all that means. But let's look at one more file here, which is cat etc network and then interfaces. And this might not be on my machine. Might not exist on here. Yeah, okay, so that file doesn't actually exist on this machine, and it probably won't be on your machine either, okay? Kind of a redundant one for the network scripts one, okay, because that's, the network scripts is where all your interfaces are kept as well, alright? So let's head back to our slide. Okay, so we took a look at some of those files, and that's what's contained in some of those files.